Good, beautiful morning, everyone. It's Molly Riversea. Today, I am taking you through my full jumping routine with my horse Monty, from prepping at home to a full lesson with my trainer Elizabeth over at the Jorvik Stables. So let's get started. I always start by getting my tack ready. It's double check, triple check, making sure everything is here. Bridle, saddle, pad, Monty's protective boots. Today is all about the jumping, so having every piece in place in the trailer is super important. Nothing is worse than trailering out somewhere only to realize you forgot a girth. That has happened one too many times. Once I'm set, it's time to get Mr. Monty ready, and here he is in all his glory. He's been working really well lately, but I do have some goals for today's session. First though, it's time to groom. Monty knows the routine by heart. I swear he has a sixth sense for lesson days. Today he was feeling alert but calm, just standing there like he's already mentally prepping. He got super excited to go out and about today. Anyway, I started with a good groom to get him comfortable and also check for any stiffness or soreness, especially in his legs. This is something I just try to get in the habit of doing. Jumping is intense on their body, so it's important that they're feeling good. Once Monty was all set and groomed, I put on his shipping boots. He's a pro at this by now, though when I first got him, he used to do a little dance when I put these on him. It's super important for hauling because they provide that extra support and protection, especially since today's session will be a workout. I want to make sure he's safe on the journey there. And with that, it was time to hit the road and load up, and he eagerly went in. I swear he's one of the few horses that actually seems to enjoy loading in a trailer. It's one of the really positive things I've noticed change about him since I got him. He used to be kind of anxious going out, so it's really nice to see that he's a lot more comfortable and trusting in me. I too, like Monty, love to drive out to Jorvik Stables. It's kind of my time to mentally map out what I want to achieve today. Elizabeth meets me out in the parking lot, and this is kind of my chance to go over what we've been working on and what I want to accomplish in this lesson. Today, I'm really focusing on Monty's adjustability between jumps. Last time, he was rushing his strides a bit, so I'm hoping to work on maintaining a more active canter while also keeping him nice and collected without him completely getting away from me. As soon as I unloaded the very patient boy from the trailer, it was tack up time. For today, I'm using a nice square show jumping pad, and can we just appreciate the matchy-matchy? Yellow was the color of the day. And I'm also using my close contact jumping saddle for more stability in the seat, of course, and also putting on his protective boots. And then I got his bridle on, and today I'm using a snaffle bit to keep things nice and light because Monty's pretty responsive, so a gentle setup works best for him. He was looking really alert today, probably already spotting the jumps in the arena we'll be working on. And then finally, I popped on my helmet and it was time to mosey on over to the arena. And once we are in the arena, we started with a simple warm-up, keeping it easy to set ourselves up for success and just let him stretch out and get loose. I worked him through some transitions, so walk to trot, trot to walk, to get him really tuned into my aids. Elizabeth was on the sidelines watching, and it's always nice to know she's there for that extra bit of guidance. Elizabeth and I have been working on Monty's striding and balance. He's got a heck of a powerful jump, but I just want him to stay steady and consistent, especially in the grid work we've been practicing. After a productive 15-minute warm-up, our first exercise was a line of trot poles to help him stay focused and pay attention to each stride. Monty likes to rush here sometimes, so I really worked on keeping a steady contact with the reins to remind him to stay balanced. Right away, I noticed he was trying to speed up, classic Monty, so I half halted before each set, keeping him in check without pulling too hard. And with a few adjustments, he finally started to settle. It's so satisfying when he finds that smooth rhythm, and I can actually feel him start to engage his hind end more. And it made me really proud. You know, guys, it's just the little things. Next, we headed over to grid, starting with a scary bounce exercise. The idea here was to keep Monty light on his feet, quick to react, and to encourage him to collect his stride when needed. He's naturally a little long strided, so grids and bounces are great for making him really pay attention. Our first attempt through the bounce And Monty overextended at the first bounce, nearly tripping up. Instead of a bounce, he jumped the 2 jumps like an oxer. Wasn't perfect, but that's part of the process. I just reminded myself to half halt a little bit more in the approach to help him collect up his stride. And this time, I kept my leg on, asking for an active canter, but I also held a bit more with the reins, giving a light half halt before we hit the bounce, and then I felt him shift his weight back, and this time, he powered through the grid. It was a small win, but it felt really good to see that difference. For the next exercise, Elizabeth set up 2 crossrails with a 2-stride distance between them. It's a simple setup, but crossrails like these are great for refining Monty's rhythm and straightness without focusing too much on height because he's got that part down. As we approached the first crossrail, Monty felt a little bit eager and started to rush. He shortened his stride just a little, making that 2-stride line feel tighter than it should. We got through, but I could tell we had lost that smooth rhythm I wanted. I knew that keeping Monty's pace even would make all the difference here. This time, I planned to give a light half halt right after that first crossrail just to remind him to wait for my cue and stay balanced as we approached the second. And as we headed back through the line, I stayed calm, gave that half halt after the first jump. Monty picked up on it, keeping his stride even and giving us a perfect 2 strides to that second crossrail. It's such a simple adjustment, but it makes all the difference in keeping him balanced and steady. And we went through the crossrail line a few more times and each pass got a bit smoother. Monty started to settle into the rhythm and I barely had to give him any cue at all. It's these little exercises that really help us fine-tune our timing. For our next challenge, Elizabeth arranged fences, including those crossrails, on a bending line, which required us to maintain rhythm and balance through a turn. This exercise tested Monty's suppleness and my steering accuracy. On our first attempt, Monty kind of drifted to the outside and we just lost our line. We ended up taking an extra stride between the fences, which threw off our timing. So Elizabeth helped me realize that I wasn't supporting him enough with my outside aids. Using Elizabeth's advice, I applied firm pressure with my outside leg and rein, kept my gaze focused between the 2 jumps, and Monty stayed on the intended path this time. And we managed the bending line with the perfect 4 strides. To finish it off, we moved into a short course combining a few types of fences and lines to practice clean, adjustable strides between each. This would prove to be a great practice and test of how much we had actually improved through our session today and kind of combining everything we had learned. So Elizabeth had us working on a certain number of strides between each jump. For Monty, that can be a challenge because he tends to add an extra half stride if I'm not careful. So I really have to watch to make sure I am setting him up correctly so we don't have any chip-ins, which can sometimes lead to a rail for us, but I suppose we'll just have to see how we manage to pull it off. To begin, I pushed him into a nice active canter, and he had a gorgeous line coming up to this, which set him up for a really beautiful bull jump, and then we took on a rollback to this double combination, and as you can see, we're definitely starting to add some height. So not only are we working on some of those technical elements, but we're also starting to add a little bit of boldness with the height. Unfortunately, we did have a rail there because not always gonna get set up to jump perfectly. That's okay. But nonetheless, we went through this combination really lovely. Beautiful double on a straight line, and then we had another double on a bending line. I collected him up, made sure he didn't chip in that half stride, and we ended off with a lovely course that I was perfectly happy to finish our session off on. Despite the rail, overall, he showed a lot of confidence, boldness, and he was really listening to me, and that was more of a me error than a horse error, like it usually is. So I was super duper happy with that, and Elizabeth was really pleased with how we ended off that session. It was a great feeling to end the lesson on such a positive note. After the jumping, we cooled down with a long rein, just letting him stretch out and relax. I could tell he was tired, but happy, and honestly, so was I. It had been a good day of work, and seeing that progress made all the effort worth it. Back at the barn, I untacked him, gave him a quick rub down. He definitely earned it today. I like to give him a little extra attention after a session like this, just to show him he did such a good job, and of course his payment for all the hard work with his favorite snacks, carrots. And then I popped his shipping boots on, and it was time to head home. As I turned Monty out, he practically flew away, happy to be back in his pasture with all his friends. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming along today. It's always a joy to share these routines with you all, and that was my jumping routine with my boy Monty. One of my favorite parts of our week together, for sure. Make sure to subscribe to be a part of our barn family, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone!